I'd like to thank Walter Isaacson and his excellent book, Codebreaker, and Josiah Zahner, a biohacker, for the inspiration and ideas for this blog. CRISPR technology has made gene editing possible, even mainstream. We have had the ability to manipulate DNA for decades. Companies have used it in crop and food processing. Since its inception, scientists and ethicists have debated how far and wide we should employ gene editing technology. The consensus is that it is permissible to use CRISPR gene manipulation to keep a disease like sickle cell anemia from being inherited. There's been a vigorous debate throughout the decades on whether science should go beyond just fixing damaged inherited genes and moving towards enhancing inheritable genes or traits. On one side, there is the usual calls of not playing God. For the less theistically inclined, the core argument is not to play with Mother Nature. The accusations of being a Nazi are also served up by the opponents of gene enhancement. Others will say, if we have the means to help future humans, how can we not? If we can over time eliminate poor health, feebleness, learning disabilities, and mental disorders, is it not immoral to refuse to help? Let's face it, we've been playing fast and loose with God and Mother Nature for a long time. I'm sure there were people in the early 1900s who said if God intended for us to fly, he would have given us wings. When British physicists John Cockcroft and Ernest Walton first split the atom, we got a twofer for playing God and Mother Nature by giving us the ability to apply nature's own power to wipe out all life on the planet. The rapture and end of the world was not just a biblical prophecy. World annihilation became possible through the traveling football that is always present and available to the President of the United States. Nazis were a brutal and racist party that wanted to use technology to create a super race of Aryans at the expense of everyone else. Just because a demented dictator wants to use technology in a spurious manner for racist outcomes does not necessarily mean that the technology itself is evil. What about an infertile couple that wants the mother to birth her biological baby, but they need a sperm donor? The couple may look through scores of potential donors. Isn't it their right to choose the traits that they like? Maybe they want to choose a donor who resembles the partner. Let's say the couple finds two donors that have the same interest and personality traits of the partner. Is it wrong for the couple to choose the donor who has more of whatever the couple finds desirable? Should the couple be reprimanded for playing God? In the Nazi analogy, Hitler wanted babies who would be future blonde, blue-eyed Aryan Adonises. Many couples might prefer to have short, dark-haired, and slightly built offspring who excel in music or mathematics. If gene editing enhancement is offered to all, is it possible to truly create a master race that towers over everyone else? Let's look at some possible scenarios. Many American parents are highly competitive. So, for example, they edit their genes to make their offspring taller. In a short time, the average male height is 6'2". But, being competitive, the parents keep competing and enhancing height. Could we see that in a few generations, a whole nation looking like an NBA basketball team? If we apply the same parental competitive enhancements to strength, athletic ability, IQ, music, math, and science skills, what will the world look like? It seems almost ludicrous to imagine a world of large, muscular geniuses strutting the planet who never lose on Jeopardy. Would that be a negative outcome? If so, why? One way that it appears that it would be bad is if the technology was only optioned for a few. That these chosen kept the technology to themselves for theirs and theirs alone enhancements. We would fear that the ensuing inequality would someday make us all enslaved to the super enhanced race. This is a real concern. Of course, this outcome is not that different from what we have now on our planet. The differences in education, opportunity, health, and mobility are wildly disparate on our planet. But it is also possible that these enhanced people could be empathetic and not power-hungry despots looking to rule over us all. What if they use their enhanced genius minds to make the world safer, better, more profitable, more economically equal, and happier? But a binary choice of a minority of superhumans lording over the rest of us appears too risky. It may not behoove us to hope that the overlords, better angels, will prevail. One interesting criticism of gene editing enhancement, and one that Mr. Isaacson himself expressed in the conclusion of Codebreaker, is that there would be an ensuing lack of diversity. It seemed like he felt that as human parents chipped away at all the bad qualities, that we would soon all be perfect specimens and would lack those peculiarities and faults that make us unique, interesting, and delightfully infallible. Mr. Isaacson is a middle-aged white intellectual who lives in the heart of New Orleans. It is no wonder that a man who chooses to live in such a teeming, exciting, and diverse town as NOLA would be a cheerleader of diversity. But what about humans elsewhere? Do you think the billions of Chinese or Japanese have as one of their main concerns about gene editing enhancement a lack of diversity? America is a melting pot, and in many parts of it, we are used to great diversity. In many countries, there is little diversity. These countries never had the massive immigration from so many lands to their own. Open-minded people like Walter Isaacson embrace the spiciness of life, and they're not afraid of or threatened by those who appear or act different than him. But I just don't think that Chinese parents are going to bemoan the fact that there are less redheads or black or white children. The Chinese culture, because of its history, is much more attuned to less diversity and more conformity than the US culture. If gene editing was available to all, it's very plausible that Earth's population may stay diverse. Parents in India may enhance their offspring in ways far different than parents in Nigeria or Chile. Is it even possible to model this behavior and its ramifications? How do we know the outcomes of the world's population in all its present splendid diversity if all parents choose to genetically enhance their children? Josiah Zahner is a biohacker, someone who wants to bring the CRISPR technology to the masses. He does not want scientific wisdom to be locked in ivory towers and in the control and use of only the few. Like the computer hackers of the late 21st century, the biohackers favor democracy, openness, and lack of central control. But does not knowing or being able to correctly model the outcomes keep us from taking the plunge? The history of science and tech say no. We may be skittish at first with new technologies, but once the genie is out of the bottle and we get used to it, we let it happen and move on. There are, of course, momentous discussions about rules and control. Can the world allow a country or group of people to create super soldiers with amazing fight ability with no compassion or fear? How can we make the technology affordable with equal opportunity to all? Should we make it available to all? But if not, who chooses who gets it and who doesn't? These issues are the reason that our greatest scientists in this field have been cautiously circling the enhanced edited gene pool for decades, not willing to out and out deny it forever, but unwilling to come up with any plan to enact it. The scientists are a bit hesitant and maybe even fearful of what will happen as they cannonball into the enhanced gene pool. The others standing around the pool, the politicians, businesses, ordinary citizens, are also a bit squeamish of the subsequent splash engulfing them from the plunge. No generation ever has had the power to truly redefine and re-engineer themselves. Now we do. Are you ready to jump